What's going on, everybody? I'm here to do a review for the movie M3GAN. This is the first movie review that I'm doing for 2023, and what a way to kick it off. So basically, to give you a synopsis, the movie M3GAN is about a little girl named Katie who ends up having to go live with her aunt named Gemma after she and her parents get into a very bad accident while going to the mountains, I believe for a skiing trip. She was the sole survivor of that accident. Both of her parents ended up dying, and she ended up going to live with her aunt, who works at this toy company, this highly advanced toy tech company, where she's currently working on a project model that could definitely change the face of not only the company itself, but most likely the world at large. And her niece basically is, she's all alone. She doesn't have any friends. Her parents are gone. Her aunt, she lives by herself. She's not married. She doesn't have any kids. So she basically has her living arrangements catered to that for an adult living by themselves, like no kids. So basically, when Katie gets thrusted into this world, as far as living conditions, it's not conducive for that of a child. So Gemma comes up with the idea to basically create this AI robotic doll that could act as a companion or a friend to Katie. And as a matter of fact, she was already working on it, but it was still some kinks that needed to be worked out. And, her boss was basically on her back about it. She needs to not work on that, especially since you're taking funding from the company that you weren't supposed to make this doll. About $100,000, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly. And it really wasn't working itself out. But when her niece comes into her life, she decides to go back to the drawing board, fix all the kinks. And thus she ends up creating what she believes the perfect AI robot / doll to cater to her niece's needs. And thus in comes M3GAN. And when I tell you, this doll looks so real, the people in the makeup department did a very good job of having M3GAN look the way that they did, considering that there was an actual actress that was underneath that and the way that the actress moved. But I'm gonna get into that in a little bit. And everything seems to just be going great. Everything is going smooth. Everything is going fine. But then, of course, if you've seen the trailer, stuff starts to take a turn, as stuff with technology or advanced technology tend to do whenever something like this can go awry or something can go bad. So now M3GAN has become so attached to Katie. Katie has become so attached to M3GAN that now it's almost like they're completely in sync with each other. And any bad infraction that M3GAN feels Katie is involved with, M3GAN is going to step in, because basically the duties of the M3GAN is to protect Katie at all costs, no matter if it's physical or emotional harm. And then that's when stuff starts getting rocky, because now it's like she's going over and beyond, above and beyond her settings, to the point where it's like she's so intelligent, because she's so programmed to be so smart, that now it's almost like she is having this internal battle of being a tech and that of a human. And it's like, now when you kind of cross those wires, so to speak, now you get a chaotic mess out of this. And the scary part about it is that Katie has become so attached to M3GAN, even though M3GAN isn't real. She's starting to believe that M3GAN is actually a real person, because she ends up she has a therapist, and that therapist basically tells Gemma and says, look, I think that there's something. She asked her, have you ever heard of something called attachment theory, where someone gets attached to something after they lose something or are lost somewhere, and they feel that this attachment to whatever it is comes back to them in a way of replacing what they've lost and probably doing a better job at it. So a lot of stuff really kind of unfolds as time really goes on. And when I tell you M3GAN is so advanced, it's even gotten to the point where she's able to get inside of her own internal wiring and basically become her own primary user, when there were only two primary users, and that was Katie and Gemma. But now that she's gotten so advanced with her in her own tech, now she has become her own primary user. And when that happens, it becomes real creepy after that. One of the best performance, in my opinion, in this movie was the actress who played M3GAN. Like I said, going back to the makeup department, how they created her to look just like that of a doll, but kudos to the actress for actually being able to maneuver and move like a robot and not move like a human. That could have been a challenge thing there, and that could have took us out of the movie when you're supposed to be moving like a robot, but you're walking around and moving like that of a human being. I like how they, moved her, how she moved, everything, how she moved her head, her arms, her legs, even the sound effects of how she would move, like almost like a cyberkinetic being. So definitely the actress who played that character definitely really did a good job as far as how to make M3GAN move and maneuver throughout this entire film. There was, of course, well, let me, before I even get into that, let me stick with the pros. Another pro is that this definitely had a good level of suspense. It definitely kept you on the edge of your seat, craving to see what was going to happen next when it came to M3GAN, as far as the character and what she was going to do and what was going to happen, how far would she actually go. And let me tell you, she went pretty damn far. A lot of people were saying, does she give Chucky some competition? Probably so, considering Chucky is not AI. Chucky the doll is just, that is a doll. M3GAN is a complete like robot AI character, doll, however you want to put it. So it has a lot of tech there where it can make things happen. Like, for instance, it was a scene in the movie where it was able to, whenever it got angry, it caused the lights to flicker in the house. Gemma pretty much lives almost like in a smart type of house where a lot of the stuff is ran through tech. So because M3GAN is so powerful and so smart, she's again, like I said, able to intercept her own wiring. She was able to basically control things that was going on in the house at will. That's something that you do not want to have in your home. And I know that nowadays AI is starting to be on the rise and everything like that. And I think that was one of the purposes of this movie, of saying, are you sure you want to have something like this in your home? Because a lot of people will tell you about the pros of what AI is, but they're not going to sit there and tell you what the cons are. M3GAN is a major con to what AI can become when it comes to advanced technology. So be very careful about what you have in your home, especially since she looks so real. That's another thing that I like. They made her look so real that from the untamed eye, you would think that it wasn't you would think that it was a real character. And I like how it was a scene in the movie where it kind of played on that. I'm not going to say which scene. And the reaction from this particular side character to when they see M3GAN for the first time is that of a genuine reaction that someone like myself or you watching this review would have when it comes to seeing something like that in person. And, it's crazy that I'm talking about this movie because remember, I was telling you about how there's, the rise of the machines in San Francisco with those cops and the machines that the robots they're about to pump out there. I believe it was something else that I was talking about that's about to do the same thing. So get ready, because this kind of AI is definitely on the rise. Now, granted, I really did enjoy this movie. I really did. But there were two cons to the movie that really I wish they could have fixed. And it actually really doesn't have anything to do with anything inside of the movie itself. But if they had wiped away these two cons, it could have definitely made the movie even better. One, the movie needed to be rated R. This movie, I believe, is rated PG-13. And you can tell that it is because when it comes to the kills that she does, and the kills are brutal, they, they insinuate that kill is happening, but they won't actually show it. They'll show it to an extent. And it's like, they'll show the, leading up to the kill and probably the kill actually happening, but it's off camera. And then you might see the aftermath of the kill later on. And I think they only did that one time. And that was towards the end of the movie. So truly, honestly, I believe that this movie should have had an R rating, because then they could have really, really, really went there with it. Number two, it was marketed as a horror movie, but to me, it didn't give me too much horror elements there. I don't know, maybe because I don't, scare easily when it comes to certain movies, but this one, it was more of a suspense to me. It was more like a suspense thriller type movie rather than as a horror movie. And the thing is, when it came to the trailers, the trailers, like, again, marketed it as a horror movie, but to me, it didn't play out that way as a horror movie, more so than it did as a suspense thriller type of film, if you get what I mean. So I think I wish they could have marketed as one particular way than it just being a straight up horror film. Because I can tell you what a horror film looks like, and this one really did not give me horror vibes. But again, that doesn't take out of it that the movie wasn't good, because it was a really good movie. But of course, to some people, this might be a horror movie, but to me, it wasn't. But all in all, I really did enjoy this movie. This was actually one of the movies I was really looking forward to when I first saw the trailer for this a couple months ago. I said, oh, this looks very interesting. And then they dropped the second trailer and I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely all in for this one right here. I wonder if they're going to go forward with this and turn it into a franchise. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not going to say that they will or they won't, because it's not like the movie really kind of told you whether or not they were going to continue on with this as a franchise. But I guess we'll have to see how well the movie does, and then they'll go from there. But with that being said, that's my review for the movie M3GAN. Let me know what you think down in the comments.